Don't miss new episodes of So What Happened To, Saturday mornings on RatedEm.
Back when people did cool shit, we used to have in-person showcases for video games and consoles. The most popular of these events was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3, but others include Gamescom, Space World, which doesn't happen anymore, and Summer Games Fest. And while a discussion on these events can be a whole video on its own, I want this video to focus on a specific part of these events, the tech demos. Tech demos aren't really something we see anymore, but at one point there were these big reveals that showcase the next evolution in gaming technology. So in today's episode of The Spot, we're going to take a look at some prominent ones from over the years, and we'll compare them to modern tech demos and answer the question, why aren't tech demos cool anymore? So let me first explain what I mean by tech demo. A tech demo is a short video or interactable experience meant to showcase the features and capabilities of technology. Mostly over the years, tech demos were made to showcase what hardware could do, i.e. the consoles themselves. But there are also tech demos for game engines too, which are a software thing. As mentioned earlier, these tech demos were usually shown at events such as E3 or CES to equally hype up those in the video game job field, as well as consumers. However, I don't mean to get ahead of myself here, but mostly nowadays they pander much harder to game devs and investors more than the average video game fan. But we'll get to that later. These demos would show off graphical capabilities, stable frame rates despite busy crowded scenes, and various physics simulations. Depending on the context, it could also show off special techniques that developers can use in their game engine to achieve certain results. The first example that comes to my mind when I think of tech demo is Super Mario 128, a GameCube tech demo shown at Space World 2000. The demo showcases 128 Mario NPCs dismantling a massive mosaic of the plumber's face on a disc-shaped platform. This showcased a large amount of detailed characters, each with their own Fuck off. This showcased a large amount of detailed characters, each with their own pathfinding on screen at once. Later in the demo, the plane is distorted and warped to showcase the physics that were possible on the hardware, on top of everything that was already happening. A lot of people mistook this as a teaser for an upcoming game, but this was merely just a demonstration of what could be done on the GameCube. I said in my every canceled Mario game episode of Game Graveyard that this might have been the inspiration for Pikmin, but that is just a guess of mine. I'm going to talk about another GameCube tech demo, but when I was initially drafting this video, I thought it was something shown at an event, but this is actually a tech demo that was included with GameCube development kits. Welcome to GameCube World, also known as the Peach's Castle demo, is, get this, a demo of Peach's Castle. It's not a recreation of the one from Mario 64, but rather a new layout with each room of the castle showcasing a feature that the GameCube was capable of. A big focus was mainly on, hey, look at all the stuff the console can do without a hindrance on performance, but there's still some really interesting techniques on display in this demo that are worth checking out. The last one I want to mention regarding the GameCube is the infamous Zelda tech demo, which was an animation of Link and Ganondorf having a sword fight in this ancient dungeon-looking area. I couldn't find a definitive answer in my research, but I believe this was being displayed in real time on the console rather than being like a pre-rendered video. The reason that this one is infamous is because it was shown alongside a few other clips of what would become Metroid Prime and what I believe was going to be Pokemon Channel, so everyone believed this is what the next Zelda is going to look like. Imagine everyone's dismay when the GameCube's first big-name Zelda game was Wind Waker, a vastly different-looking game than what was shown off at Space World 2000. Let's stray away from the GameCube, but stick within that console generation, and let's discuss the original Xbox. While the GameCube already had a following of Nintendo fans ready to support it no matter what, the Xbox was coming into the gaming scene on a blank slate. Sure, it was being backed by Microsoft, one of the biggest tech companies of all time, but people had no idea what kind of vision the company had for the console. While Nintendo did have various ways of showing off the power of the console, it did feel more like they were focusing on the hype of what was next for their biggest IPs. However, with Microsoft and the Xbox, early promo material was definitely more focused on the technological advancements that the console was making. One of the tech demos they showed off was called Ping Pong and Traps, which featured a single ping pong being dropped and setting off a mouse trap that would then jump up and hit another, and then jump up and hit another, and it had this huge domino effect. This was meant to showcase the CPU, where multiple objects were going in and out of different states and calculating physics all at the same time. Another one was called Garden and Butterfly, which showcased a large amount of animated butterflies flying around a detailed garden. Over the course of the demo, these butterflies would pathfind their own ways to form the letters X, B, O, and then X again. One I saw online that I want to spend some time on was called 2 to Tango. It's a short video clip of this big robot, or possibly like a mech suit, and then maybe its pilot or creator, both doing a synchronized action sequence. I've seen opinions on this video saying it was pre-rendered CGI, but I couldn't determine if people meant that in the sense of the whole video being faked, as in it was made on a computer and then they just said, oh, this is the graphics of the Xbox. Or did they mean that it was rendered and animated on the original Xbox and then they exported it to a video file and then showed that off? Regardless, it's a really cool demo, and I find it really interesting mainly because of the two characters that we see in this video. I don't know much about the robot, but the woman in front of the robot is named Raven, and she was actually set to be the mascot of the original Xbox. However, that changed when everyone kind of collectively agreed that Master Chief was the face of Xbox after the success of Halo. I don't know if they were going to make a game about her, make her like Mario, or if she was just going to be a visual icon like Polygon Man for PlayStation, but she seems to be a forgotten part of Xbox's history, and honestly, I wouldn't mind making a video about her if I can find some more information on what Xbox had planned for her. I was going to skip the PlayStation 2 because I couldn't really find anything too interesting, but I did find this clip of a Ridge Racer themed demo, and then at the end there's like this horrifying grandpa Matrix. Like who the fuck is this guy? Moving on to the 7th generation, I want to start with the PlayStation 3 and the Final Fantasy VII tech demo. This was a demo meant to show off the graphics that the PS3 could output, and the demo was a recreation of the opening scene from the game. This ended up having a Zelda Space World 2000 style controversy where everyone thought this was going to be a remake of a beloved game, but it was just simply a demo. The PS3 had a couple of other demos too. There was one of like rubber ducks in a bathtub that was meant to show off water physics. Quantum Dream actually made a visual demo that featured a character that would later be in Detroit Become Human. And there's also this one of Spider-Man 2 actor Alfred Molina for some reason. I didn't believe it at first, but no, here's the official IGN article. If Alfred Molina is a part of PlayStation history, where is his Astrobot cameo? I found two for the Xbox 360. One of them was called Ruby, which is a sci-fi themed cinematic rendered in real time on the console. The cinematic was done by ATI, which is now known as AMD. The other Xbox 360 tech demo is one I've mentioned in my motion controls episode of So What Happened 2, which is the Project Milo tech demo. To catch you up to speed, it was this video meant to showcase the Kinect accessory. However, it's very fake, as what they show off in the demo did not resemble what the Kinect could do upon release. I believe the quote-unquote game in this demo, Project Milo, ended up being watered down and then shipped out as Kinectimals. I'll end off this section talking about the Wii, as there were a good amount of playable demos available at various conventions. It makes sense considering how hands-on the Wii is as a console. Most of them were early versions of game modes we'd see in Wii Sports, however two of them weren't. These are Wii Sports Airplane, where players would pilot a plane around an island, and this was included in Wii Sports' sequel, Wii Sports Resort. The other one was Wii Sports Shooting, where players would have to point the Wii remote and shoot targets on screen. This would be repurposed into Wii Play much later in the console's life.
Need a new form of entertainment in your life? Join the thousands of others who have hit the subscribe button. Side effects of subscribing may include joy, laughter, and newfound knowledge about video games. Talk to your doctor about if subscribing is right for you.
Want to support the channel? Be sure to share this video with your friends. RatedEm episodes are made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
While tech demos are pretty much reserved solely for conventions and events, there is the idea of tech demo games. While I personally don't consider them an official genre, these are games that are very evidently meant to showcase the core features of the console that you're playing on. The concepts are a little out there, and most of the time they're bundled with the console when you buy it, or they're released around the same time as the console. Wii Sports is the prime example, where the game is just a collection of different game modes meant to showcase how the Wiimote can be used for gameplay. It's one thing to tell someone the Wii is a console that you can control by moving around, but when you actually show them that you can swing the controller like a baseball bat or throw it like a bowling ball, it provides a much clearer idea. 1-2 Switch is another example. This is a similar game where it's just a bunch of mini games meant to showcase what the Switch can do. I also remember that Switch 2 Experience, or whatever it's called. I'll put it up on screen if I can find it. Everyone was making a stink about this because it was a paid game that wasn't even like Wii Sports or 1-2 Switch, where it was intended to be a game first. This Switch 2 tech demo game is something that you would see at a booth at E3, but Nintendo was charging money for it. Super Mario 64 DS was actually intended to show off that the DS could do 3D environments and wasn't just a Game Boy with 2 screens. While it does get that across, it really sucks that Mario 64 on the DS isn't all that good, as the DS button layout doesn't really do it justice. I like Picture Poker though. Remember that minigame? Nintendo Land, which was a game that was bundled with the Wii U consoles, was meant to show off the gamepad functionality, as well as the idea that you could have one person play on the gamepad while everyone else plays on the TV. I vividly remember the Mario Tag game mode because whoever had the gamepad in that one would have the gamepad's camera display their face on the big screen. So whoever in my friend group had the gamepad would just distract everyone playing on the TV by making like disgusting, horrific faces so that you couldn't focus on the game. So why haven't I discussed any modern tech demos? Where's all the fun Nintendo and Xbox tech demos from the 2010s or even now in the 2020s? Well, unfortunately, tech demos are kind of lame now. I personally believe there are a multitude of reasons for this though. First off, graphics kind of hit a peak about 10 years ago, and everything since has honestly been really pointless. Games with good graphics nowadays are usually just games with a good art style. Technological advancements in gaming 20 years ago were much larger steps forward than they are now. Aside from graphics, things like having more realistic water simulations and realistic lighting reflections were easier to see improvements in. But in modern years, we've kinda got them down. What else is there to improve on? Those weird Twitter blue checkmark profit accounts will make weird engagement posts like, wow, check out the graphical difference between the last 5 years. And it's like a comparison of the freckles on the face of Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever the game's called. This stuff is such bullshit because who on God's fucking green earth is buying a game to look at the freckles on a character? Don't get me wrong, I like pretty games just as much as the next person, but I'm playing the game to play the game. The advancement in greasy ass skin technology is not something that I take into account when I put in a pre-order at GameStop. Another thing is that everything is AI now. They don't care about showcasing the raw power of the new Xbox when they're just gonna generate frames that don't exist with their new shit fart AI model, or I don't know, whatever the newest CSAM generator is called. Also another thing, tech demos aren't really done by game console companies so much anymore, but instead by the companies behind the graphics cards, the processors, and game engines that go into these consoles and games. This also means that we don't see iconic characters like Mario or Cloud or even Raven, but just nameless one-off stuff. And like, that's okay, but it kind of does make them less memorable. I could also see them doing this to avoid a Zelda Space World incident where people get their hopes up for a new game just for it to not really mean anything, because that is honestly annoying to be a fan of a series and have something like waved in your face like that. But again, it does make these demos a little less memorable. The only modern one I can think of that used a popular IP was that Unreal Engine 5 Matrix themed one from a few years back. That shit still sticks with me. That one was really cool. This is what I'm talking about though. I remember that tech demo because it was Matrix themed. When it's just a pointless environment, I mean, sure, it gets the job done, but I'm not as interested as I could be. This is kind of what I meant at the start, where tech demos now are pretty much solely for those involved in the making of games, and not so much pandering to the consumer. So the point of this video, tech demos were cool, they're not anymore, AI fucking sucks as per usual, and I'm low-key kind of gay.